Hola! Welcome to another Spanish lesson. This lesson is all about building your Spanish vocabulary. There's a particular topic that I like to teach because it gives students almost like a little bit of a shortcut into learning the language, and that topic is called cognates. Let's get it up on the board. Now, cognates are words that have a resemblance in both languages. So you're going to be looking at a word in English, and when you look at the word in English and you look at the word in Spanish, there is a clear resemblance between the two. And so the relationship between the two words can be recognized, hence the term cognates. Now, there are three kinds of cognates. We have exact cognates. We're going to be talking about those in this lesson. We have direct cognates, and we have indirect cognates. So let's take a look at exact cognates. Let's get some space going here. And let's separate. So exact cognates, there are only two things that you really need to know about them. One, the words are spelled the same in both languages. And they mean the same thing too. So you don't have to worry about the meaning changing on you. And two, the only thing that is different is the pronunciation. Because remember that our Spanish letters and our English letters, though so many of them sound the same in both languages, there's going to be something a little bit different in terms of the pronunciation. So let's take a look at a few of our exact cognates. We're going to look at the words and we're going to break them into syllables so that we can pronounce them the way they're supposed to be pronounced as cognates. One very easy example. In English, we say actor, actor. There's an E sound with that O. But in Spanish, we say actor, actor. Now, we're going to break this into syllables. And breaking words into syllables in Spanish is pretty easy once you know what it is that you're supposed to do. And what you want to do is look at your letters and how they are organized. There are some rules that is discussed in another lesson regarding syllabification. But in this word, we see two consonants coming together. We see C, that's like a doubling up right there, CC. We see the letter C and the letter T, and they're both consonants. Now, there's a rule: if two consonants come together, you separate them. And the first consonant goes with the vowel that comes before, and the second consonant goes with the vowel that comes after. And so you put a separation between the two right there. And so you have actor. So that's the rule of breaking it into syllables. Now, how do you know which syllable you are to stress? You have to check the end of the word. And at the end of actor, we have the letter R. Now, there are 7 letters that you need to look out for when you are deciding where you're going to put the stress in your Spanish words. The letters are your vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and then there are 2 other consonants, the letters S and N. When your word ends with any of those 7 letters, the stress goes on the second to last syllable. However, if your words end with any other letter except those 7 letters, the stress goes on the last syllable. So here we see the letter R not being one of those 7. And so the stress is going to be on the last syllable, the tor. And so this word, in pronouncing it the Spanish way as an exact cognate, becomes actor, actor, actor. Let's try another. This is a fun one. Many persons pronounce this the way it is supposed to be pronounced in Spanish without even realizing it. So in English, we would say chocolate. We're not hearing this O, and we're not hearing the E at the end, chocolate. In Espanol, one of the things that you want to remember is that every letter has a sound. There are no silent letters, there are no schwa sounds. Every letter in Spanish has a sound. And so let's break it up into syllables. We don't have any doubling up going on here, so this is fairly easy. A vowel per syllable, and we're good to go. So we say cho, co, la, te. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables. Which one do we put the stress on to pronounce this word the way it's to be pronounced in Spanish? Take a look at the end of the word. We have an E. E is a vowel. E is therefore one of our 7 letters that we're looking out for. Remember, A, E, I, O, U, S, N. And if E is one of the 7 letters, it means the stress is going to be on the second to last syllable, which in this case, te is your last syllable. So the second to last would be the one before that, which is la. So this becomes chocolate, chocolate, not chocolate or chocolate or chocolate, but chocolate. Let's try a few more. This is a tricky one because when we look at this word, automatically we want to give the letter I its name, which is I. We know that we pronounce this idea. We want to give the letter I its name I, but remember, Spanish vowels borrow from each other in terms of the sound. So the Spanish vowel I does not sound like I, it sounds like E. So this is E, not I, but E. And then we have the letter E that we would have given its name in terms of the sound, idea. It's not gonna sound like an E, it's gonna sound like a short A, because that's how the letter E sounds in Spanish. So this is E, de, a. E, de, a. Another rule of syllabification involves vowels and how you break them up. Now, E and A are considered 2 strong vowels. 2 bulls can't rein in one pen, and so you have to separate them. So our first separation can go there. And then we have our other separation here, because the vowel can stand on its own. Well, I is really a weak vowel, but we'll discuss that in another lesson. And so to pronounce this word now, it becomes E, de, a. If you're from the Caribbean, maybe Jamaica or one of those other islands, this is Creole that you're speaking right here, saying that something is here, idea. We look at the end of our word, we see the letter A, which is a vowel, and it tells us, okay, if the letter A is at the end, and A is a vowel, it's one of our 7 letters. It means we're going to put the stress on the second to last syllable, which is going to be over here. And so this becomes idea, idea, idea. Let's take 2 more. That's a little bit of a tricky one because again, the thing with exact cognates is when you look at them, you want to say what they are the way that you would say it in English. But you have to remember it's Spanish that you're supposed to be doing. And so to break this up, pretty much the same as in English, right here. And in English, we would say radio. This is radio. That's the only thing that is different. Radio. Radio. Again, the I and the O are together. It's not going to be broken the way we broke the E and the A, because the I and the O have a different relationship. I is a weak vowel, O is a strong vowel. The weak vowel cannot stand on its own, so it has to stick with the strong vowel in this case. So that's why we're not separating those two vowels. So this becomes radio. We look at the end, it ends with a vowel. So that tells us that we put the stress on the second to last syllable. And I'm very careful not to simply say on the first syllable, because that might throw you for a loop. The stress is not going on the first syllable in a word, it's going on the second to last. Now, if the word happens to have only 2 syllables, it therefore means that it's going to be on the first one, but we don't use the term first because we want to remember at all times second to last syllable. That's the term that we want to use. One more example. This is a nice one, and I'm going to teach you another lesson here. Again, we're going to look at our rules of syllabification. And one of the rules says, when you have 3 consonants coming together, here we have them, uno, dos, tres. There's a special thing that happens when you have 3 coming together. And there's another special thing that happens when that third consonant happens to be the letter R. So the rule says, when you have 3 consonants coming together, and the third consonant is the letter L or the letter R, but in this case it's R, the first consonant goes with the vowel that comes before, and the second and third consonants go with the vowel that comes after. And so in this case, here is where we would have our separation. N is going to go that way with the E, and then the T and the R will go that way with the A. So we put our break right there. The next thing that we do, because remember, while we're breaking them up, is to identify how to pronounce the word. And in pronouncing the word, we need to identify where we put our stress. So we check the end of the word and we see the letter L. L is not one of our 7 letters. It therefore means that the stress is going to be on the last syllable, which is the tral. And so this becomes central, central, central. And there are many other exact cognates out there. So there are words like color, doctor, hotel, piano, violin, other words, quite a few. So it's up to you if you want to just go and explore, find them, see them, find how you're going to be pronouncing them. And that's going to be a fun part of it. So that ends our lesson for today on exact cognates. I do hope that you learned something, and I do hope that you will have some fun finding the exact cognates. Adios for now.